Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Logan here with Y.B.Normal. That's right. Y'all already know how it's about to go down. Y.B.Normal when you can be extraordinary. And this is the Class in Session podcast. I am your host, Logan Taylor. Of course, my co-host couldn't be with us today, my brother Dante. And we got a special guest for you all today. I'm super excited. He comes to us by the way of the great New York City. They say it's the city that never sleeps. Some call it the concrete jungle. I ain't for sure, but we'll ask Joe about that in a minute. But he is coming from the great state of New York, and I'm super excited, man, because when I read his bio, he has done some amazing. Matter of fact, scratch that. He has done some phenomenal things, and I'm super excited. And I hope he touches on it because I'm like, yo, I remember those little things when I was a kid, but we're going to talk about that later. But no, again, guys, listen, we got a special guest here, Mr. Joe LaTorre. Joe, welcome to the Class in Session podcast. We are so honored to have you here, man. Thank you for being here with us today.
Logan, thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here. Love your work. Shout out to Dante. Sorry he couldn't be here, but I'm really amped up, man. I love you guys, and I agree. Why be normal when you can be extraordinary?
Absolutely. I love it. All right. So, Joe, before we get right into it, we get right into the questions and stuff like that. Tell the people who Joe LaTorre is. How did you get an education? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So this is wild. I've led a life. All right. So I grew up in Queens and Long Island, and I decided, I need to elevate myself. And I knew school was the way out. So I worked hard in school. And then I became a finance bro, and I was miserable. I was writing all the time, and I was still tutoring people even though I was working. And so I started to say to myself, let's get into education, and I did, and it's been the best decision I've ever made. I love my job. I'm a geek for being a teacher, man. I love being off in the summer. Don't get me wrong, but like opening day to me is like opening day of the NFL for like a quarterback. Like I'm excited to be there. And along the way, I've won 2 New York State teaching awards. I've become a teacher leader within my school. I am a union rep. And I also am one of the co-founders of an inter-district program called Bridges between my district, Oceanside, and Uniondale schools. And so we are just outside of Manhattan, and we get to experience everything that the great state of New York has to offer. We get to be in there, tapped into the culture and all the great things that come from being here. I'm happy to be here. So let's go.
I love it. So is it true that New York is the city that never sleeps? Is that a true statement?
It is the truest of statements. I'm really fortunate in that I've had a chance to travel and see this country and see the world. And I forget that I was out Sunday. It was my cousin's birthday, and it was a late night, and it was 3 a.m, and every store you could want to go to was open. And I had to stop for a second and say, wait a minute, now that I've seen a bit of the world, this is not usual. Everywhere is pretty much 24 hours, and everything is at your fingertips in 24 hours. And it was just one of those nights where I was like, I'm lucky to be here, man.
Oh, wow. I love it. Yeah, I love New York. New York is an amazing city. I've been to all of the boroughs. I went to a Brooklyn Nets game before. That was super excited. And being in Brooklyn and being downtown and being at the Barclays Center, that was a dope experience. Seeing the Statue of Liberty. I went to go see the 9/11 memorial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was different, and it was different for sure. But let's get to why we're here today. The class. Let's get to the podcast and let's get into it. So I heard you say being a union rep, a teacher, as well as I heard you say, hey, I started off as a finance bro, and I thought you was gonna say it, but you didn't. So I gotta ask you. I gotta ask you. So I seen that you talked about that you worked for Teletubbies.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I was like, do I bring that up? The kids don't believe me until I tell them, but for real. So I I realized that finance was not for me. I was going home. I was writing. I had a pilot I wrote at an agency with a buddy of mine, and we were workshopping that. And a different friend of mine who's gone on to bigger and better things was working for the Teletubbies. So at this point, I'm like, I'm going back to school. I'm being a teacher, but I need a job. And he says, and it's the most flattering thing I've ever heard. He's like, yo, so we're creating all of this branded content for teenagers who the Teletubbies were what they watched as little kids, but now we're going to sell clothing at Urban Outfitters. We're going to create digital content. Would you come on board and help us figure out how to market this to teenagers? And so I got to kind of assist in the creation of a pop-up shop in Soho, one of like the really poppin' neighborhoods in Manhattan, and get guests to come to that pop-up shop and get the cool DJs to make sure they got the publicity. And in the process, I met the actual Teletubbies. It was the most surreal 3 days you could ever have, because you're with these men and women, and you could tell who's who, bro. Like they're like a Russian doll. They're all different sizes. The guy who's Tinky Wink, he's 7 feet tall, so you spot him right away. The woman who is Poe is 4'10", and it's weird if they're wearing the costumes. They've got all these gears, so it's not like when you have the Elmo at your kid's birthday. Like the eyes are moving, they're doing the voices. It's frightening, but it was wild, man. Being a Teletubby, I was their personal assistant for a few days. So
I love it. I love it.
They taught me everything I need to know to be an educator.
I love it. That's dope. That's dope. I was like, wait, he did what? I was telling my team, I was like, they were reading the one of my team members were reading the bio to me, and we were going through it in a meeting, and they were like, yeah, he said he did Teletubbies. I was like, no, he didn't. They was like, seriously. I was like, ain't no way. And they was like, for real. I was like, oh, I definitely gotta ask him. I got so many questions, because I remember Teletubbies when I was growing up. So that was just nostalgia for me. But that was dope, though.
I'm blessed with those experiences, because when you go into a classroom and you tell kids that now, they still don't believe you, and you have to break it down to them. They're like, well, what are you doing here? You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I get it all the time. It's so funny when you tell kids like, hey, I used to do this, and this. I've experienced this, I've experienced that. And it's like, well, why are you here? Like,
I get that all the time. Like, yo, so I mentioned Sunday I was out. It was my cousin's birthday. My cousin, his name's Brandon Espinoza. He's an actor. His wife's an actress. He's in a Broadway musical called Joy right now, but he's also on this TV show called Power.
Okay.
And so he was on Power. He's on Power Raising Canaan. So he's on TV. And a couple of our friends, when we were teenagers, they were nobody. They're original cast members of Hamilton now. Wow. So like there, you watch that DVD. That's a bunch of my friends. I was just with them on Sunday. And, this guy has been in this movie. And you tell these stories to kids to inspire them. And I think on a level they are inspired, but always one kid raises his hand and he's like, yo, well, how come you're doing this? And it's like, you love getting roasted by your own students, but I go, yo, this is where I want to be, bro. So
Absolutely. I was, so I had a graduation, that I was in, Sunday, and we were talking about like wearing suits and stuff like that. And so one of my mentors, he was like, man, I used to wear suits when I would go and speak to students and go speak in schools and all that type of stuff. And I was like, you wore a suit? Like, wait, what? And I was like, well, I remember I used to do that. I used to wear suits as well. And then I had to like really shift and switch it up, because I was telling him, I was like, yo, I remember one time I wore a suit and the kids were on my head. Like, they were on my head. They was like, yo, like, are you a funeral director? I was like, oh, bro, like they was on my head. It was so funny. And I was like, yeah, I got to switch it up. Like, I can't be coming and inspiring students and giving them tools to, improve their life academically as well as professionally. I can't come in a suit and thinking that I'm going to connect with them. It ain't going to work. So we're going to have to switch some things up. But yeah, so I was just like, yeah, we gotta change, we gotta switch it up. So I started switching things up. Of course, I came across the great, Dr. Eric Thomas, and seeing him wearing a t-shirt and gym shorts and a hat and Jordans, and I'm like, yo, what is this? Like, he's being himself and he's being extremely comfortable, and he is literally killing it and motivating people on stage in some gym shorts and some J's, and his attire and stuff like that. And I was like, yo, I wonder if I can do something like that. Like, let me get a Y.B.Normal t-shirt, some black jeans, and some Jordans, and it was a hit. A lot of kids came to me and were like, yo, are you selling those shirts? Yo, are you selling that hat? Yo, do you have hoodies? Like, different things like that. So it's been a blessing. But let's get into it, Joe. We didn't lollygagged enough, so let's get into it. So my first question that I got for you is, what is a common myth about your job or field of expertise when it comes to being in the education space?
All right. So the biggest myth I think relates to the subject, not the subject, the grade level that I teach. I teach middle school, and I think people just think it's like an unserious place, that it doesn't matter, and that the kids don't want to be there, or that the kids are just they're just coming at you every day, that it's this hostile environment where the kids don't know and don't want to know. And I disagree, man. I think it's where your values form as a person, where you start to learn how you start to learn the person you're going to be. Maybe you're not, set on your career. Maybe you don't realize yet that you're not going to be the quarterback for the Jets, but you start to learn right from wrong, and how to put that into play in your life. I think it's fundamental. So
I
yeah,
love
that's
that.
what it is. Middle school is as important as any other grade, and how we do it in our teaming environment and our looping environment in my school. I think that's what's up. I think that's the way to do it if you want to get the most out of people.
I love that. That's dope. I love that. I love that. So what made you, because I know everybody has as an educator, everybody has a preference on where they want to be when it comes to the K through 12 space, right? Like, you have some people that are like, yo, I love working elementary because as soon as school is over with, I don't have to do anything else, right? You have some people that are like, yo, I love middle school because I love engaging with the students more. I love going to, their supporting their sports games, or I love high school because they're getting ready to transition and they're becoming, young adults and different things like that. What made you want to get into middle school, and what made you choose middle school as to being an educator?
So I'll be real with you. I didn't choose it at first. I think you hit the spectrum real well. Elementary, you're dealing more with management. You're bringing less paperwork home. High school, you don't really have to manage your environment of students as much, but you have a lot more paperwork. And middle school's right in the middle. But I'll be real with you. Middle school was terrible for me. Um, Middle school, it's the worst you're ever going to look, and you finally care about how you're going to look. And
Mm.
when you finally want to talk to women or whoever, and you don't know how to talk to people yet.
Right.
When I heard I was hired for a middle school, I got a feeling in my stomach that I had not felt since middle school. It like literally pulled itself up out of like a decade plus, and I was like, "Oh, that's the last time I felt that way." It was not a great time for me, but as a teacher, I love it,
Wow.
because you get to be the person
Mhm.
that people need at that time. And I think we take for granted what's on the surface of kids. We might see a kid as so confident, you don't know what's going on at home. Or on the opposite end, you might see a kid who has struggles, but they have it in them. They're just kind of born different. And if you push them in the right direction, they're gonna do great things. So I love that time. And
I
I love
love
it.
it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's dope. So let's pivot a little bit. Tell me about Bridges. Tell me, what is Bridges? Let's talk about that for a second. Let's touch on that. What is Bridges? Tell me about it.
Bridges is kids getting real. So I'm gonna be real with you. Long Island is one of the most segregated places in America. It's wild. I think that people, have these stereotypes about different parts of the country, but the reality is, on Long Island, you have a community and everyone is this religion in this community, and then the community next to it, everyone's this other religion and they're this race, and then the other community, same thing. And these are all communities that live next door to each other. So I was really blessed, man. I started in a school in Uniondale, and I got to work for a mentor teacher for two of them, Nina Savith and Justin Williams. Justin went to school there. It was a predominantly Black school with a Latin population as well. And I was told more than once by my students, I was teaching high school, you are the only white man we speak with or that engages with us, because largely the population of that school, even the teachers, is non-white. And then I go and I work in Oceanside, and people hear where I worked before. And this is when I just started there. I said, well, you were so different. Was that hard? And I'm like, no, man, kids are kids. Like, the kids in that school were doing what I was doing. They're working at the grocery store, or they were doing some other job they hated, or straight up same thing as me, like working class family. They were trying to figure out, how am I going to college? How am I making it work? I have family in Italy. They have family in other countries. There were a lot of kids who were first generation or second generation. I connected. And I said to myself, these two schools, and Oceanside is white with Latin population. They're both very large districts. They are 15 minutes straight up the road from each other, and yet nobody interacts. So I made some great contacts, and what we did was at one of their middle schools, Lawrence Road Middle School, and at my middle school, we created cohorts of 30 kids from each school. And in the middle school level, 7th and 8th grade, me and my colleagues, so Sam Herman in my school, and Claudine Derone and Larea Cullum at Lawrence Road, we get our kids together. We try to go 4 times a year. And after the second meeting, the first meeting is make new friends from another community. By the second meeting, because we can't do this often, these are long days. They're 6 to 8 hour days, no breaks, where we're together. But in the time between the first and the second meeting, these kids, they swapped social media, they swapped phone numbers, they started hanging out. So by the second meeting, you're looking around, you can't tell what kid goes to what school, because you'll turn and one girl's like lying on the other girl that she's friends with from the other school, or they're kicking each other under the table and joking about something they did socially outside of school. And so immediately kids, they have that connection with someone they would have never met. And what we do those 2 years is we teach them how to share that space and have conversations about things that a lot of teachers are afraid to talk about in the classroom. So that 7th grade year, we talk about immigration. And our 8th grade year, and we're coming on an 8th grade year for this cohort, we talk about the right to protest. And politically charged conversations. As the kids move into high school, they stay together, those same 60 kids. And in the 9th and the 10th grade, those kids who in the 7th and 8th grade applied to be in this program, they're starting to become leaders. So we teach them some leadership things that you learn like at those corporate retreats that executives go to, or that you learn in the military. We teach them how to lead other kids. We teach them how to diffuse conflict. And by the 11th or 12th grade, these kids, they've come up together now 4, 5, 6 years. We partner them and we show them how to do service in our communities together. We do community service projects. We expose them to culture because, like we're right outside of Manhattan, but there are kids, they've never done a walking tour of Brooklyn, learned about, the same immigrant populations that exist here existed there 100 years ago, and here's how that changed. Or they're kids in both schools. They've never been to a museum. They've never been to a musical. And so we give them those opportunities to have those experiences. And it's the passion, man. We're going in year 10.
I love it. That's dope. That's crazy. So Y.B.Normal is going into year 10. Next year in 2026 will be 10 years for us. And so I think it's dope to hear how you are being a solution to the problem, right? And in today's climate, we see so many people that complain about the problem, but you don't do anything to fix it, right? And so I think that, what you're doing with Bridges is amazing, to be able to take 30 kids from one school, take another 30 kids from another school, coming from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different cultures, and different things like that, to come together and say, hey, listen, let's build, let's work together. You all both are in the same community. It's a beautiful experience. And so I think, that divide that, especially in today's climate, in today's society, this divide that we have, whether if it's political, educational, religion, culturally, ethnicity, whatever the case may be, like I think that it's important that we all come together because that's how we thrive. We thrive off community, right? So just understanding the complexity behind that, but I definitely tip my hat to you because that's amazing.
No, thank you. There's so many great things about this program. It's long days and it's a lot of work, but to your point, you get these experiences and they get them in a way that's just like affirming, man. Like the kids don't always agree on everything, and they're who agrees with what does not always fall along racial lines or school lines. There are kids from both schools that feel one way and kids from another school that feel another way, but they're learning those skill sets that like will let them express how they feel. It doesn't mean it's not always tense, but at the end of the day, it's weird. I don't want to say at the end of the day we're all human. I want to take it a step further. At the end of the day, they're all kids with the same needs and the same questions and the same concerns. And what you said about finding solutions, that's what we try to do. When they start talking to us about, well, like, I got to go to college in 2 years and I don't know what we want to be, we did like a reinvented version of Career Day for them. Or even the coolest thing, we've got kids in college who came through this program. So like we had a girl, because we'll speak about our program at like education conferences. We had a girl, she filmed the video for us. She was like, I'm in school, I'm pre-law right now. She goes, I didn't know I wanted to be a lawyer until I got to speak in front of everyone in forums like this, where I'm with 30 kids that I went to school with, 30 kids who don't know me, a bunch of adults who don't know me. And she goes, I realize I'm good at this. So you're putting people on to hopefully a future that they're really happy about.
I love that. That's dope. Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. I love that. So let me ask you. Let's go back to teaching. We're gonna touch on. I know you talked about being a union rep, and different things like that. And so we're definitely. I want to touch on that as well. But I want to get back specifically to you being a teacher and ask for someone that's looking to be an educator or a teacher at the middle school level. What is one piece of advice that you would give to them?
I would say start with trust. I think that there are better English teachers than me, maybe in America, but I don't think anybody is a better middle school teacher. I know how that sounds. I think I build belonging. I think that's what I'm good at. I think that the key that I tell everyone is start with trust. And I don't mean get them to trust you. I mean, from day one, do not tell that you trust them. Because when people see that you're riding for them and that you trust them and that you're not second guessing them or you're not looking to pull a gotcha on them, they go for you. And you show that in a lot of different ways. But show them that you trust them from day one. It's going to feel real unusual because at that age, they're used to adults kind of, heat checking them left and right. And I'm not saying we never have to, but show them right away that you trust them. And you're gonna go so far. It's almost trust is like stretching. Like I love to lift. I hate running, but I do it. And you're gonna run further and farther, and you're gonna lift heavier weight longer and not get hurt if you stretch first. If you start with trust before you go to any curriculum, you are gonna get more done because you start that first week showing them, you care, and you got them. Then they're going to do what you need them to do.
I love it. That's dope. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. What do you feel is your biggest struggle as being a middle school teacher?
That's a good one. I think that I've had to be really conscious of telling them their why. You hear all the time, remember your why to teachers at these PDs. I know my why. I know what I'm here to do. But when you are 14 years old and you are looking at The Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos Williams, this poem, and you're like, why is this dude making me learn this? You've got to make it really clear to them why you are doing this, okay? And for the first time, they are also learning that there are consequences, that accountability matters, that everybody doesn't win all the time. So
Mhm.
you have to take all of that into account. You have to explain to them why you're doing this, because a 13-year-old isn't thinking, well, one day I might be doing as an adult.
Right.
So you have to kind of make it clear to them why you're doing what you're doing that day, and then you have to make it clear to them why you're learning these values now and how they're going to help you.
I love that. I love that. That's good. That's good. Trust. You gotta have trust. Trust, 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 trust. Yes, absolutely. Trust, 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 trust. That's big. All right. So before we move forward, we got to take a small break real quick because we got to pay bills. This podcast don't pay for itself. So let's take a quick break real quick, and then we're gonna come right back into it. All right. So give me 1 second. All right, y'all. So listen, man, I need y'all to do one thing for me. I just one. I'm just asking for one favor. That's it. I ain't asking for nothing else. Just one favor. Listen, if you love what we're doing, if you enjoy the guests that we have, if you find value in it, can you share it with somebody? And can you subscribe to the page? I just need you to like, comment, and subscribe. That's it. And it take less than 30 seconds. How do I know? Because I did it. Right? So I just need you to like, subscribe, leave a comment. All right. And then share it with somebody. All right. This is the Class in Session podcast. Back to the episode. All right. So, Joe, talk to me about being a union rep. Like what is that? I don't know what that is. Like break it down to me. I'm ignorant to the fact of what a union rep does when it comes to education in New York and different things like that. Break that down to me. What does that look like? Why did you become a union rep? Like give me some insight.
All right, so I'll speak big then small.
Okay. Yep.
The state of teaching is different in every state. Not every state has a union, and to me, that's a crime. But in New York, we do have union representation. And
Mhm.
what you do is you act as a representative for the teachers, the labor, to the management, the administrators, in
Mhm.
terms of issues that are both contractual and social. So it
Mhm.
is both about making sure that we are working together, because at the end of the day we are on the same team, but also that we are following the legal contract that we have.
Mhm.
It is an increasingly, listen, I don't have to tell you about education. You have a lot of incredible guests on, and you work in schools all across the country, and it looks different, but the one thing that's the same is that organized labor is under attack. The rights of workers are under attack. There's a case called Janus regarding teaching at the Supreme Court, and it said that right to work is normal. And you go, right to work, that sounds really, really good. No, right to work just means that they can get rid of a lot of protections for workers. It's one of those things they make sound good. Right to work sounds good, but it is not good for organized labor in the United States,
Mhm.
which is rapidly shrinking, and that's the thing that protects the livelihood of teachers, their retirement, their healthcare. So I'm always passionate about that. My parents were in unions. My father was in the railroad workers union. My
Mhm.
mother was the president of the paraprofessional union in her
Okay.
district. So I believe in the rights of workers. That's why I do it. I also think that the thing we need most in this country is community.
Mhm.
And if we're going to talk about the working community, then that is everybody. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
our secretaries who are part of an incredible union. It's our custodial staff who are part of an incredible union. Our administrators have a union. And when you get all those pieces interlocking together, you create community and you create a place that people want to be. So that's my thing. I like showing up for people. I think it's the best thing you can do, and that's why I'm a union rep.
I love it. Showing up for people. I love it. That's dope. I love that. I love that. I love that. All right. So, Joe, when you said something earlier at the beginning of the podcast, you were talking about being in finance. Did you notice? Was there a how can I put this? Was it okay? I'll put it this way. Was it tough for you to pivot coming from finance to being a teacher and working in the education space? Did you see some differences? Like, did you see like some differences? Was it a struggle, or was it like no, it wasn't a struggle? It was actually pretty easy. Like, what did you notice?
So I think that that's a great question to ask. And I said, I might have already said this, that I feel like I'm blessed by my experiences. I think finance was the struggle. Like I'm from a working class family. Something that I took from that finance experience is when you grow up in a household where everybody went to college, it's like you're all part of some secret club where when your father, you know, is an attorney or a doctor and your mom is, you know, she works as a financial analyst, you learn that emotional intelligence. And one of the things I try to do as a teacher and with Bridges is teach kids those like corporate soft skills that come with learning how to speak to people, learning how to email people. So finance was the damn struggle, man. I was miserable. I was chained to a desk. I was one of those dudes, you know, white collar, blue shirt. You talked about switching into, you know, being your more authentic self. And that's something that I had to learn to do as a teacher because, you know, I came from that world where you wore a white shirt and a tie every day. I had a coworker who called me Draper, like Don Draper, the character on Mad Men. So I had the hard part. I'm clean shaven every day. I had a student, shout out to Christelle if you're here. Christelle's an adult now. She was a senior when I had her at Uniondale. She'd look me up and down every day as my first year teacher. They'll look at you in your white shirt, like you're an accountant. She'd like, look at you in your. She would call. I had these shoes. She'd call them my square-toed church shoes. She's like, you come in here with your square-toed church shoes, and just nobody can take you seriously. And I'm like, yo, but I needed that. Because now when I go in and I teach, I look professional, but I'm not like that. This was the teaching's authentic and it's corny, but I know you agree. You said you're on year 10 of Y.B.Normal. When you're doing something you love, the money comes. And that's how I feel about this. Like I don't have to think twice. Like, you know, that whole term Sunday scaries?
Absolutely.
Not even once. Okay. I don't feel anxious on a Sunday at all. Well, I do, but because I'm a Jets fan. That's the only reason. I know, bro. Yo, Titans looking good, man. I like Ward.
Man, listen. I'm sorry for you. I understand, but I get it. Y'all actually y'all did pretty well in the preseason with against the Packers.
So Fields, I love Fields. I wanted the Jets to draft him. I know in Chicago now we got him, but I think you're going to be happier than me at the end of the season as a Titans fan. So? But I meant what I said. Like I am excited to go to work every day, man. Sometimes I'm tired because I'm not really somebody who sleeps, but I don't dread being there the way I did working in finance. I like to work the 12-hour days as a teacher. I wasn't really feeling those in finance.
No, for sure. That's what I was telling I was talking to my cousin a few weeks ago back home, and we were having a conversation, and I was like, yo, like I would rather work 16 hours for myself than go work, 16 hours or 12 hours, whatever, for somebody else. And I know that it's not my purpose or my calling and what I'm doing in my life. And so, I'm blessed. I've been, I'm super grateful. I have so much gratitude and so much gratefulness in my heart because of the position that Y.B.Normal is in. And there are days I have them because I'm human where I don't want to do the work. I don't want to travel. I don't want to do podcast interviews or there are days where I don't want to do anything, but I still have to show up regardless, because what I realize is that for me, in the position that I'm in now, it's not just about me, right? Like I have employees now, they got kids, they got families, right? So it's like, yo, like if our company is not doing what we need to do, then you don't get what you need for your family. And that right there just drives me, because I have kids myself, right? I have 3, Noah, Ryan, and Deuce. Like they mean the world to me. And so if they need something, hey dad, I need this, or I get a Cash App, request, or hey daddy, can you buy me this, or hey daddy, I want to go do this, or hey dad, my fees are this. Like, man, I know, I work a lot. I know that I miss out on, some things in the past that I missed out on a lot in the past because I was building the company. But man, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Like the love, and I know it's my calling and my purpose in my life. So I'm excited, man, and I'm looking forward to us continuing to grow and continuing to build and make an impact in the education space.
No, man, that's beautiful to hear. Like you're the sum of all your experiences, and then you mentioned your kids. Like, how powerful is it to see as a child your parents going after what makes them happy and not just doing what they're supposed to do?
Right.
Like that has to on its own be the type of thing that they'll say, yeah, I know it's not easy. I know that he had to be, we talked about you working in some city schools. He had to be in New York, and maybe one of your children had something they want you to be there for, but I bet they do get it.
For sure.
Like my father was always working overtime, especially if it's snowed, but like I got it. He's
Right.
not doing this because he doesn't want to be here. He's not
Right.
he's not choosing to sleep in a truck
Yep.
and shovel snow.
Yep.
Like he's choosing to give something to people, and that's
Absolutely.
what's up. And that's how I feel too. Like this summer, I'm speaking more to teachers and doing more PDs and doing workshops to teachers. And I thought it'd be a few hours a day, 4 days a week. I'm doing 6, 7, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week to get this where I want it to be, so that I can go back to school and show up for those kids. And I think that's what we have in common. It's that idea of like the best thing you can do is show up for other people.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I had to learn how to show up for other people because I didn't know how to show up for myself. Right? Like a lot of the position that I'm in now, I would never imagine 9 years ago when I started in 2015, 2016 in Chattanooga, Tennessee, that we would be in this position that we're in. I'm just be transparent. Like that's not what I would have. That's not what I thought because I didn't know what I was doing. But like I was still broken. I wasn't even in therapy yet. Like I go to therapy, you know what I'm saying? Now I've been going to therapy since 2018. But I didn't know how to show up for myself. And it's so funny that you have educators that as soon as they get on campus, the problems that they have back home, they bring that into the classroom. You have some educators that as soon as they get on campus, the things that they brought, the things that happened at home, they stop as soon as they get that car. And it's all a choice at the end of the day, right? And this with working in the education space, like it's all about choices. And that's something that you teach your scholars is like, yo, it's choices to this. Like, yes, what this person is doing is wrong. They're talking about you, they're saying things on social media, like, yes, those things are wrong. But you can make a choice to either ignore it, or you can make a choice to be like, yo, I'm gonna get this person back and get revenge. And now you just digging yourself into a deeper hole. And so, I think, at the end of the day, like showing people those choices, like, hey, listen, this is what happened if you do this, versus then, hey, if you go this route, this is what can happen. And so, I thought that, I couldn't tell other people how to be the best version of themselves because I wasn't the best version of me. And so now I'm contradicting myself. Now I'm looking like a hypocrite, right?
No, I love you brought up, the idea of working on yourself. And it's weird. I feel like we're like two sides of the same coin because
Absolutely.
like you present, as like a cool dude. And I'm sure when you speak, like the kids are like, damn, like he seems like a chill dude to hang out with. And then when you mention that you've had to work on yourself, that's letting them realize that there's something beyond the surface, that you're a finished product now, or you're an evolving product now, but that you had to take life's L's and be resilient.
For sure.
And then with me, it's because I teach English.
Yeah.
It's really funny. I teach English, and like a lot of that is about understanding humanity, right? And understanding the struggles people go through, and talking about those human things, and talking about like the soft side of life.
Right.
And it's funny, like this is now we're getting into like outside of work things. Like, so I love working out, man. And I used to lift in the community that I teach in. They opened up like a cool gym like down the block from where I live, and I go there. And I'm like, this is so much easier. I could walk here. I don't got to worry about the weather. I don't got to worry about when this is New York, man, going 3 miles is 30 minutes of traffic. It's just how it
For sure.
is.
For
I don't
sure.
got to worry about that. But what I realized I missed is them seeing that other side of me, because I think they see me as the dude who talks about poetry. And then when they get old enough to start going to the gym and they see me throwing weight around, like, oh, you lift. And they realize, wait, like that, right? like to be a man is to be someone who can be human and talk about poetry, but then it also means you're going to go and you're going to, squat 3 plates. And on
Absolutely.
your side, it means, yeah, you're going to go out there and be cool, calm, and collected in front of an audience. But that doesn't mean that, when the lights go down and everyone leaves the theater or the auditorium, that you're not working on yourself or going through your struggles. And that's the thing now, man. I don't really speak. I speak to my students, but
Mhm.
I think that you more than anyone know about how, like, being a young boy, being a teenager right now in America, you're really going through it in a new and different way, and showing them that you can be both. I
For
think that's
sure.
really important.
Absolutely. No, I think that that's important. And I want to go to this segue, speaking about changes and and doing things different and different things like that. Um, so this is my last question, and this is our hot seat question. And so my question for you, Joe, with the hot seat question is that if you were to meet with the Department of Education, you were to meet with the head of the department, which is Miss McMahon, and you were to meet with her tomorrow. She says, "Hey, Joe, we will change one thing, and I mean literally one thing for this whole country. It doesn't matter where they're at. They can be in a small city in Alaska. They can be in Jackson, Mississippi. They can be in Miami, whatever the case may be. If you could change one thing about education or the education system, what would it be?"
So that's great. I would say, Miss McMahon, regardless of people's political dealings, we're all Americans, and a rising tide lifts all boats. And I want you to believe in all of us. And if you believe in community, which in theory every American does, you need to make it, because the Department of Education is part of what works with our loan structure for college. You need to incentivize these jobs that serve communities. So yes, that means educators. I think you should make it very financially easy, not academically easy, but financially easy to become an educator. And I would say the same is true about people who work in mental health professions, because there is a shortage of mental health workers. And I would
Mhm.
say that should be true of people that work in medical professions, right? Because it should not be a barrier for a human being who wants to help other human beings to go to school because they can't afford to go to school.
Right.
Right now, there are some in every school I've worked in, there have been kids who would make great doctors, nurses, therapists, educators, but they're not finishing school on time, or they're going into a debt that they can't pay back because of how we do education here. I'm not saying make it easy academically. I'm saying make it financially easy, to make sure that we have more people doing jobs we have shortages in. And then if she didn't believe me, I would like Macho Man Randy Savage off the top rope, because hey, she's coming from that wrestling area. Like, let's be real about that, girl. Like, let's be real. I know what you're coming from. I know what your husband did for a living. You know the vibes. But like, we need to make it good for people, bro. Like, it kills me when I hear about a kid who's in their eighth damn year of undergrad, and it's not because they're failing school. It's because they go for a year, they kill it academically, and then they have to work for a year because they're not getting loans. And so then they go back and they do another year, off and on, off and on. And now they're 4 years behind their peers whose family were able to write checks. Yo, let's put our best and our brightest in careers that are going to help everybody.
Absolutely. I love that. That man said, "Hey, I'm coming off the top rope."
Ooh, yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, Joe. So listen, man, I want to say thank you. First, let me say this. Always believe in giving. We always believe. I always believe, and I even do this in my personal life. We believe in giving people their flowers while they can smell them. And so I first want to say thank you for answering the call to be an educator because I know it's not easy. And I always say to educators when I speak to them, like, hey, listen, I know you didn't get into this because of the money, right? You got into this because of impact. There was somebody that impacted your life in a positive way, and you said, yo, I want to take that and I want to give it to the next generation. So I want to say thank you for what you do. Thank you for being an English teacher. Thank you for being a middle school teacher. Thank you for being a union rep. Thank you for being the founder of Bridges, and solving a problem in the education space, in the community. And I just want to give you your flowers and say, man, we see you, we honor you, and thank you for what you do.
Logan, thank you so much first for saying those kind things to me. Second, I know I told you this earlier. I get to impact 120 kids to the best of my ability, but it seems like you're reaching thousands. And so thank you for having that voice that shows people what's possible and that why are we settling? Why be normal? Let's be extraordinary. And before I get off, yo, I need to throw that shout out not just to you, but if any of my colleagues are there, thank you. We're heading back soon. Thank you to all of you for doing the work, man. Whether it's in Bridges, whether it's as fellow union reps, whether it's as administrators, our secretaries who run our damn building. Thank you to everybody.
For sure. No, for sure, man. Thank you, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so before we get out of here, before we shut it down, we get up out of here. I need two things from you, Joe. One, let people know how they can get in contact with you, and then two, I need you to close us out with a quote or something positive, or whatever's on your heart. I want you to close it out to the people that are listening, to your colleagues, to the educators, all over the world. So the floor is yours. Do you think?
All right, so you can find me on all the different social media platforms at the Joe LaTorre, TheJoeLatorre. JosephLaTorre.net is my website. And here's what I want to close it out with. I want everybody to understand one thing, and it's that, belief is the most important thing in your life. And if you believe in the people you work with or work for, in the case of my students, like it's all going to work out, no matter how ugly it might look one day or the next. We're going to do it. We're going to win, baby.
I love it, y'all. Y'all heard him. We're going to win. No matter what it looks like. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Mr. Joe LaTorre, y'all. Let's give it up for him. Thank you again, Joe, for this opportunity, man. Thank you for coming on to our Class in Session podcast. We're so honored to have you. And listen, guys, this is the Class in Session podcast. And as always, y'all already know how we're going to close it out. I'm Logan Taylor. I'm the host, my brother, my partner in crime, Dante Hampton, my co-host. And as always, why be normal when you can be extraordinary? I'll see y'all on the next episode. Love y'all.